All right, I think we're live. Welcome to today's workshop. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jason Hamilton. I'm a certified financial planner, the founder of Keep It Simple Financial Planning, and I admin this group and page. And every Sunday at about 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to bring you a workshop. And we are currently in our How to Retire series, where we're just kind of going back to the beginning, starting with some of the basics. Last couple weeks, we talked about creating your balance sheet, your net worth statement, and your cash flow statement. So if you missed those workshops, I recommend you go back and complete those. Now we're going to get into subjects that are, it's really an extension of part of your cash flow. And we're going to talk about Social Security and your claiming decision, because your Social Security benefit is going to be, for most people that don't have pensions especially, the foundation of their retirement income. So also known as their floor or their minimum guaranteed income they will be receiving when it goes to retirement. So we're going to talk about that today. But while we wait for everybody to get tuned in, I would love for you to share something with me that went well for you this week. So if you can leave me a comment down below, what's one thing that went well for you this week? Okay, so we'll get into the training momentarily. I want to take a minute and celebrate the things that are going well, because I think if we look at just the normal TV and what's on in the media, there's a lot of things we could think about that are not going well. We might be stressed out about things around, finances, our jobs, or whatever it may be. But I would love to hear from some of you what went well this week, and for you to put that in the comments so we can talk about that a little bit and celebrate that while we're waiting for everybody to get tuned in. Okay, so in just a moment here, we're going to dip into a presentation. And for some of you who've been around a while, I've talked about Social Security before, but I think there's things that are just good to remind you of. And a lot of people don't know quite how Social Security works, and so we're going to be covering that from a high level this week on really just some things that you may not know or you might already know. But I also want to give you a frame of reference on how to think about it from a strategic standpoint, because Social Security is one of the most powerful tools you have when it comes to the foundation for your income and retirement. And the thing is, you do actually have a lot of choices, and the timing can make a huge difference when you do take it. So for those of you that don't know, which I'm sure most of you do, you can qualify for your Social Security benefit starting at age 62. And each year you delay beyond 62, you get an increase that you get to keep for the rest of your life, all the way up until age 70. Okay, so there's no benefit to delay past age 70, but there are some benefits to consider delaying past 62. And for some of you, it may not be an option, but for some of you, it may be an option. So let's definitely jump in. So let's talk about some things that have gone well for you guys this week. So Barbara is celebrating her 26th wedding anniversary this past Friday on 10/9. Barbara, congratulations. 26 years is amazing. My wife and I are coming up on year 4 in, it'll be May, 2021. Hopefully she's not listening to this. May 26, 2021 will be 4 years. So I look forward to having 26 wonderful years. So congratulations to you on that. Chris said she straightened out a refund I'm owed for a canceled cruise. Beautiful. I think some of you may know, my wife and I scheduled Thailand we're supposed to actually be going in the next week or two to Thailand, and we're going to be there for about 2 weeks. And with the COVID situation, that got canceled. So luckily I had a wonderful travel agent who was able to get almost all of our money back. And there was a piece we couldn't get back. Then we also got a credit for about $500. So I got most of my money back and additional credit. So I'm actually coming out ahead. So we are next weekend going to be going to Zion National Park. So next weekend, by the way, I may not be doing a workshop. I may record something for you and put it up here, but it won't be live. And then we're back for a week. And then the following weekend, we're going to be going to Florida. So for those that don't know about California and California taxes, they're not pretty. So we are considering potentially looking somewhere else to live in the future. We don't know, but I have some good friends that we're going to be visiting over in Florida and some clients there. So should be a lot of fun. So congratulations to you, Chris. We straightened ours out as well. That's a wonderful thing. Kim voted. Beautiful. We all need to vote. Okay. I hope you know here that we try to keep things as apolitical as we can. But no matter what you believe, I want you to vote and get out there and do that, because every vote does count. There's been a massive campaign, especially towards younger people, to get them to think that their votes don't count, or that it just doesn't really matter if they go out and show up. In some of the work that I've done in, the nonprofit work that I've done, we get involved with politicians because we're dealing with the community at that point, and you'd be surprised how much they consider your vote mattering. So it definitely matters. And if it's one of the key things I think some of the powers that be have gotten us to believe is that our vote doesn't matter, so we don't go out and participate. So definitely matters. So good job, Kim. Lorene has said she had her grandson overnight. Congratulations, Lorene. That is absolutely amazing. I wonder if that's your first grandson. Is that your first grandson? If so, let me know in the comments. I have a niece and a nephew. They were the first of the family. I'm the oldest of 6 in my family. And my brother, who's 2 years younger, has a niece and nephew, 4 and 7, and they are just the best. They're such great kids. Really good time, so I know you're going to enjoy that. Let's see here. Ray is celebrating the beautiful fall weather in Western New York. These are gorgeous. That's something in California, we don't quite get that. We don't get the seasons the same way. So I don't consider it boring to be sunny and 75 degrees every day. I'm okay with that. But I love to see when the fall and the autumn is coming in. That is just amazing. So I did have some plans to go visit this year up to New Hampshire to see some clients in New York and New Jersey. But with COVID, things just really got thrown off track. So that's amazing. Cindy will be graduating from medical assistant program next month. Congratulations, Cindy. That is awesome. I think that is a high demand career, and I think you're going to do very, very well. So that's amazing to hear. Good job. Dick says, made it home safely from visiting with our son in Colorado. Beautiful. We were in Colorado a few months ago. I love it out there. If I can get up to snowboarding, we were at Copper this last year, did some snowboarding and some skiing. Amazing. If you made it home safe, wonderful. Great to hear. Colorado is an amazing place to be. Michelle made it through another week of teaching hybrid. Michelle, I feel, very appreciative for the teachers that are fighting to get back and have things to normal. I know it's challenging. I know it could be a little bit scary dealing with some of these things, but I commend you for getting our kids, back in school at least part-time. That's one thing I saw with my niece and nephew. They're okay. They're happy doing things at home, but they really miss that interaction. And they didn't have any friends that all come visit until we visited. So it was just a wonderful thing to be together. I think we as people need to be together, do it safely. But getting kids back in school, I think, is going to be a really important thing going forward here. Right. So Lorraine said, that's first grandson. Amazing. You're going to love it. Beautiful fall in the Adirondacks from Barbara. Awesome. E.T. says, go Steelers. Sorry, couldn't help himself. E.T., I don't blame you. That's okay if that's your team. And Jeannie says, our district is hybrid also. Okay, wonderful. So really beautiful things to celebrate today. I appreciate that. I think now we got everybody logged in and logged on, so we can jump into our workshop. So let's talk about this a little bit here, okay? So we are going to talk about how your Social Security benefit may be affected by claiming early and what you may gain by delaying. So we're going to talk about that today. If for any reason things are not coming through clear, you can't hear me, just please let me know. Leave me a comment and I'll double check that. But it looks to me like everything's coming through just like it should. So we're going to assume that it is, okay? Wonderful, okay? So before we jump in, I do need to let you know that this should not be seen as financial, legal, or tax advice. I'm not giving any individual advice here. My goal is to help you understand and logically think through your decision and understand some of the benefits and the negatives. But again, we have to look at your situation as an individual to make sure we're doing things to optimize for you personally, okay? All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is establishing Social Security full retirement age, okay? Many of you have heard this subject before, but again, I want to assume that you might be starting out and this is sort of a beginner's course. So there is something called a full retirement age when you get your basically your full benefit for your Social Security. If you decide to claim before your full retirement age, you get a reduction in that benefit. And if you delay beyond your full retirement age, you get an increase, okay? So the way the full retirement age is determined is based on the year that you were born, okay? So if you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. If you're born before 1960, then it's a little bit more tricky, but it's not that big a deal. It is based on this scale here, okay? So 1943 to 1954, your full retirement age is 66. If you were born in 1955, you're going to add 2 months to that. And as you can see here, you're going to continue to add 2 months from 55, 56, 57, 58, and 59. So somewhere between 66 and 10 months. And then once you hit 1960, it will be 67 will be your full retirement age, okay? So that's how you'll figure out when your full retirement age is. Just so you know, you can actually claim your benefit at any time. Okay, you don't have to wait to a full year per se. You can wait 66 and 3 months, or 67 and 2 months. Every month you delay, you get a bit of an increase. Every month you take early, you get a bit of a decrease. But today, we're going to talk about the year by year increases and decreases because it's just a little bit easier on the math, okay? All right, so something as I mentioned before, if you claim your Social Security benefit before full retirement age, your benefit will be reduced, okay? Social Security, as a program, is designed to only replace about 40% of your income need, but the actual percentage may vary. I have clients that Social Security is covering really everything that they need, and so they don't need to touch their investments. And then I have folks that Social Security is maybe 20 or 30% of what they need, so investment income or pension income is another big portion of what it's going to take for them to meet their lifestyle. But that's how the program's designed. It's not designed to be a 100% replacement. So if you're watching this and you're younger, keep in mind that the recommendation is that you still save and invest for yourself beyond what Social Security is going to provide, because it is not designed to replace your whole income. Okay, so sometimes claiming early is the right thing to do. There's certain people that have no choice, and certain people that just want to claim early, but in other cases it might not be. So I want to kind of open your eyes and enlighten you to some ways to think about this here that might be a little bit different. Benefits to claiming early. Okay, so if you claim early, so what I mean by early is anytime before your full retirement age, so somewhere between 66 and 67. Anytime you claim before that, you're going to lose a little bit, but there are some benefits to claiming early. If you claim early, you will receive your benefit sooner, right? And you're going to add an additional income stream to fund your retirement. So the earlier you claim, the earlier that money comes in, and that's an income stream that you can use to pay for your cost of living. Another benefit of claiming early is that if you don't need the money, you can save or invest it. I hear a lot of people saying this, but very few people have the actual discipline required to do this consistently to make it work out to an actual comparison of taking early versus delaying. But maybe you do, and maybe you're somebody that can do this. A third benefit would be that you can use the extra income to pay down debt if you're still having debt. So you can use it to pay down credit card debts, car loans, home loans, whatever it may be, before you actually leave work if you're still going to be working and taking your Social Security benefit. And another benefit is you could be more generous or use the income for fun earlier. If you have an extra, $1,000 or $1,500 a year, somewhere between $12,000 to $18,000 a year you weren't expecting, well, that can be vacation money, or that can be money you can use to donate to charities, church, or others that may be in more need than yourself. So there are some benefits to claiming early there. And of course, there's more, but these are just some quick ones that I thought were some of the most important. Downsides. Okay, so what are some downsides of claiming early? Because if you claim early, there are benefits, but there are some reasons why you might want to consider delaying, because it really does affect your retirement. And I wouldn't say it affects it more so early on. I think it affects it more so later on in retirement. But let's talk about this a little bit here. If you claim early, one of the downsides is your payments will be permanently reduced, right? So if you claim before your full retirement age, that benefit is going to be less than you would expect at full retirement age, and it's going to stay that amount less, and you're only going to get your cost of living going forward. So it's be permanently reduced. So that may or may not be a good thing for you. Another thing to consider is if you're still working, okay, and you have earned income. Okay, this does not count for pension income. It does not count for investment income. But if you have earned income through a job or self-employment, you may lose additional Social Security income if you make over the allowable limits. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But they're relatively low limits. So if you're going to, if you want to claim your Social Security benefit at 62 and you're going to continue to work and make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, you're actually not going to get that benefit received. So this is something you want to be considering, okay? A third thing that might be a downside is if you're married and one of you passes, the remaining benefit will be smaller than if you had delayed. So for example, let's say you and your spouse both worked and you both qualify for a Social Security benefit. Well, what's going to happen is when you get to Social Security age and you both claim, you're going to have two checks coming in, essentially, or two deposits coming into your accounts. If one of you passes away, then the remaining spouse only gets to keep the larger of the two benefits, okay? So you have to be considerate of that if somebody passes and Social Security income is a big chunk of what you're bringing in, well, if you lose one of those benefits, it could be, could be a significant reduce your income. It may really impact your ability to pay for your lifestyle. So by delaying at least one of the benefits, that larger benefit will continue to grow and will be a larger base or a larger floor for whoever's remaining after the first person passes. So that's actually a really big reason to consider delaying. And finally here, you may need to rely more on investment income to meet your financial needs later in retirement. Plain and simple, if your retirement need is, let's say, $3,000 a month, and Social Security is going to take care of $2,000 a month, and so you only have to make up $1,000 a month from investment income, versus if you claimed as early as possible and your Social Security is only $1,000 a month, and now you have to make up $2,000 from investments, that's a lot more stress on your portfolio to meet your needs. So these are things that you might want to consider. Okay, so here's what I was talking about earlier, that if you are working after claiming your Social Security benefit, you may have your benefits or your payments reduced if you earn over certain income limits. Okay, so as the first bullet point here says, prior to the year you are full retirement age. Okay, so let's just use 67 because I think most people are getting closer to that at this point. So if your full retirement age is 67 and you take your Social Security benefit at 64, for example, which is later than you can start but earlier than your full retirement age, if you earn over $18,240, and that's for 2020, your monthly benefit will be reduced by $1 for every $2 you earn over the limit. So for example, if you earned $500 over the $18,240, so you earned $18,740, your Social Security check would be reduced by $250 per month. So that's a pretty significant impact if you're going to continue working. So this is one reason you might want to delay is if you're going to continue working past 62, because the income you earn can impact that. Another way to do it is to just not make enough to where you go past this limit, then you get to keep both. But $18,240 is quite a low amount of money, and so you may really benefit from working a little bit longer before you claim your Social Security benefit. Again, individual situations are unique, and we need to look at that on a case-by-case basis. Bullet point number 2 here. The year you turn full retirement age, if you earn more than $48,600, that's for 2020, your benefits will be reduced by $1 for every $3 earned over this limit. So one thing to keep in mind is this only applies to months before you achieve your full retirement age. And so once you turn full retirement age, there's no limit on earnings. So let's say, for example, in 2021, you were going to turn 67, which would be your full retirement age, in June. Okay, you would only have to worry about the equivalent of 6 months worth of the $48,600 limit. So be $24,300. If you earned over that before your birthday in June, then you would have a reduction. But once you hit your birthday in June and you turn 67 in that particular month, then you don't have to worry about earnings anymore. Okay, that's all. This particular situation is gone once you get to full retirement age. The only thing that comes up after this is taxes on your Social Security, but that's a separate issue here. Okay, but this is something to consider, that if you're going to work past 62, you may not want to take your benefit, especially if you're going to be earning more than $18,240, because your benefits will be reduced past that point. And something to keep in mind, that your benefits are recalculated and readjusted so that after you stop working, you will get a benefit later and you'll make it up over time, but it might take you 10 or 15 years to hit that break-even point, depending on how much you make. So I think the better route is to just delay, get the guaranteed increase, which we'll talk about in a moment, and then claim once you decide to either go part-time and be below these limits or leave work altogether. All right, so let's talk about some benefits of delaying your Social Security. If you delay your Social Security, your monthly benefit will increase the longer you delay, up to 70 years old. So there's no real benefit to delay past 70, but each year, really each month you delay past 62, you're going to receive an increase in payment. But at 70 years old, that caps out, so you do not want to wait past 70 to claim. Bullet point number 2 here says, by having a higher benefit amount, you will need less from other sources like investments throughout your retirement. So to my point earlier, if your retirement income need is $3,000 per month, well, the closer you get to $3,000 from Social Security, the less you're going to need from your investments to cover your income need. And then that means you can either have more money from your investment income to enjoy, or take a little bit more risk on your portfolio and have some higher returns, ideally over time, or lower risk as well. That's another way to look at it. Okay. Point number 3 here is, if you wait until at least full retirement age, you will not have any reduction of benefits due to earning too much income from your job or business. You will have more flexibility. I'll stop that one for a second. But the third bullet point, once you hit full retirement age, like I mentioned before, Nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry about reducing benefits. It's just taxes at that point. That's the only thing you have to worry about there. Okay. So this fourth bullet point is very important for those of you that have large pre-tax accounts. Okay. So if you have a large 401k, the majority of your money in a 401k, traditional IRA, traditional 403b, or normal TSP. So if you have any money, and I should say 457s as well, but if you have most of your funds in pre-tax accounts, and you're definitely not going to need all of that money, like more than your required minimum distribution would be, starting at 72, then you might want to consider delaying Social Security so you can do some tax planning. Because when you're doing tax planning, you want to have as much of your lower brackets available to use for things like partial Roth conversions or early distributions from your pre-tax accounts at the lower tax brackets. So these are things that you really want to consider depending on your individual situation. But if you take all your Social Security benefits early, you really limit your ability to do tax planning prior to 72 when the required distributions kick in, and then you have no control about the amount coming out of your retirement accounts. Okay. So what will you actually lose by claiming your Social Security benefit before your full retirement age? Okay. So let's talk about this. These are some actual percentages that we're going to talk about here. Okay. So if your full retirement age is 67 and you claim at 66, then you're going to lose 6.67%. Okay, so may not seem like a lot, but it really does add up. So let's say your benefit was $2,000, and if you were going to lose your benefit for taking early, that would be $133.40 per month, and so that'd be $1,600 a year. So if your benefit at full retirement age was $2,000 and you lost 6.67% because you took it at 66, well, now you're going to lose $1,600 a year every year for the rest of your life, plus the additional increase that you might have on the $2,000 that you would have had. So this is basically compound interest working against you because you lose the initial amount off the top, plus the amount of your yearly increase based on due to cost of living adjustments is affected as well negatively. Okay, so that's 1 year early. If you draw 2 years early, then it's 6.67 plus 6.67, so it's about just over 13% there. If you take 3 years early, so if you were to take at 64 and your full retirement benefit was at 67, you would lose 6.67 times 3, or 20%. Okay, so that would be a 20% reduction. So again, if your benefit is $2,000, well, now it's going to be down to about $1,600, right? So yes, you're going to receive your checks early, but over time, generally about somewhere between 76 to 78, you will hit a break-even age, and then the average age for men that they live is about 85 or 86. Average age for women is about 86 or 87. So most people are more likely to come ahead by delaying. But the bigger concern is, what if you or your wife, or you or your spouse, I should say, have longevity? Then that could be a much bigger concern down the road. And if you and your spouse are 65, then you have a 51% chance of one of you living to 91 or beyond. Okay, so that's a pretty significant chance, right? So if you take 4 years early, then you lose the 20% plus an additional 5% for a total of 25%. But this is a little bit tricky, okay? So like I said, if you take 4 years early, you lose 25%, and then 5 years early, you will lose 30%. Okay, so if your full retirement age was at 67 and you draw at 62, your payment at 62 is going to be 30% less. Okay. So here's something to consider, though. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky because it is 30% off the original amount, but it's actually more than that because of the way the math is going to work out. So we're going to do a little example here. Okay, so let's say your primary insurance amount, or just what the benefit you would have received at full retirement age, so that's your retirement benefit, was $1,500. Okay, so if you retired, and this is if your full retirement age is 66. So if you retired at 62, which would be 4 years early, you would lose 25% in benefits. Okay, so your benefit reduction would be 25%. So instead of $1,500, you would only receive $1,125. So that's a 25% reduction. But this is a little bit tricky. Okay, Because if you didn't retire at 62, but you waited until 66, your benefit would be $375 higher. So even though it's a 25% reduction from $1,500, it's actually a 33.3% increase compared to $1,125. So in this case, waiting 4 years, your Social Security benefit would be increased by actually about 33.3%. So it's a little bit tricky on how the math works here. So, when we're talking about a reduction, that's based on the full retirement amount. But when you take the reduction amount and divide it by what you're going to receive, that is actually more like 33% that you're going to be losing, not 25% by taking early. So hopefully this makes sense. And if it doesn't, leave me a comment and I'll clarify. But it's when you look at the math this way, it's actually more of a loss than you really might be thinking. Okay. So as I mentioned here, if you're wondering why the percentage increase, about 33% is different from the percentage decrease, it's kind of a way to look at the math. But it's because you're comparing the change to the original value, and the 3.5%, the $375 is a larger percentage of $1,125 than it is of $1,500. So again, really take this serious, this decision seriously, because even though I think it's only 25%, it's really 33.3 of the original amount. Okay, it's a little bit tricky there. Okay, and I see a comment here that says, why does everyone say 8%? And that's from Terry. So Terry, the reason why people say 8% is your benefit, if you delay past your full retirement age, is an additional 8% per year. So you get a big kicker, if you delay past full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is 67, so every year beyond 67, you're going to get 8% all the way to 70. Same thing if your retirement's at 66. So that really can be a big difference. So when you add up potentially the 4 years after your full retirement age, which would be 32%, so 8% times 4 is 32, the 32%, plus the 4 years early, another 25%. So if that's about 57% total difference between taking it early or later. But if you look at the math the same way I showed you before, and you base it on what the original benefit was and see what you're losing, it's more like almost a 75% difference if you claim your benefit at 62 versus waiting all the way until 70. So these are some big numbers here, and especially when you extrapolate the numbers over time. So if you really take the numbers and you go out over 10, 15, 20 years of retirement, these numbers can easily be in the six-figure range of additional retirement income you'll receive if you live to the average age of, let's say, 85 or 86, depending on your gender. Okay. So what's the general rule here? So my goal is to always try to simplify things for you. So the general here is, if you're healthy and wealthy, like if you have some money aside that you can use to live off of and delay your Social Security, or if you're planning to work past 62 because you're healthy and you enjoy what you do, well then the general rule is generally you want to delay. Okay, the exact date is to be determined, but delaying past 62 is almost always good advice for anybody who's healthy and have some money set aside. But if you have health conditions, you hate your job, you're not doing well physically, and then your retirement situation looks fine if you were to take it 62, well, then you might be better off taking it 62. And another reason people might want to take it 62, if you just have so much money you've saved that it's not going to make a difference either way, then maybe you want to claim early and then just take what you can get and set that money aside. So there's some things here to consider when it comes to your situations, but these are the general rules as it applies to when to claim your Social Security benefit. Okay, so now I got a practice question for you, okay? So get ready because I'm going to ask you to comment your answer on this, and we're going to have a multiple choice answer here. And we want to comment, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think the answer is, because this is going to tell me if you absorbed what I taught you today and if you actually understand it, okay? So let's see here. All right. So Margaret is age 63 and her full retirement age is 66, okay? So she is retired with no earned income and decides to take her benefit 36 months early. How much will her benefit be reduced, okay? And remember, 36 months early, 6.67% each year. So would you say it's A, $1 for every $3 earned over the threshold, B, 30%, or C, 20%? I'll give you guys just a minute here. And please make sure you read the question before you answer, because this could be a little bit tricky potentially, but I did give you the clarification in the question there. So what do you guys think? A, B, or C? I'm not seeing any answers come through. Maybe they're not coming through on my side. Let's see. A, B, or C? A, B, or C? What do you got? Did you actually learn something today from me, or did I just lose you on everything here, or is math just something you're scared of? Let's see. So I see one answer. Maureen's brave. Thank you, Maureen, for being brave. Maureen said B. I'd love to see where you got that from. Remember, we're retiring 3 years early, okay? 3 years early. So 6.67 plus 6.67 is like 13.3 or so. Plus another 6.67 is going to get us to, I'm seeing a lot of answers here, mostly C's, and I see some B's. Our answer is C, okay, 20%. So 6.67% divided by the year equals 3 years, okay? So that is how much the benefit will be reduced. So keep in mind, though, if you divide that reduction by the amount you're going to receive, it might be closer to 30, but the technical answer here is how much it would be reduced, and in this case, it is 20%. Rebecca, thanks for being honest that you're scared of math. I appreciate that. You don't have to be scared. This is a safe place that you can, come answer. Don't worry at all. We're not trying to trick you here. I just want you to take and absorb some of this information, because I know how important the Social Security decision is, and sometimes people don't realize how much they can actually lose. So I appreciate you being honest, though. Okay. All right. So question number 2. John is 68. Okay. His full retirement age was 66. If John waits until 69 to claim his Social Security benefit, how much higher will it be than if he claimed at 66? Would it be A, 8%, B, 16%, or C, 24%? Let's see what we got here. And I know I think there's a delay between when I speak and when you guys have time to answer. So I try to be patient, but you never want to have dead air when you're doing a show like this, right? Or doing a workshop like this. Okay, so we get some answers coming in here. We have, let's see, C, C, B, B, C, A, B. I'm seeing a lot of C's here, okay? So the correct answer is C, okay? So you got to remember, so we're delaying past full retirement age. John's full retirement age was 66, so 3 years past that times 8% per year is going to give us a total of 24% higher benefits when it comes to John's Social Security income, okay? So great job for everyone who said C, okay? And that's basically what I have for you today. So if you need help with the crucial decision of when to claim your Social Security benefits, I'd love to help you out with that. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, I'm pretty backed up here for the next couple weeks, but if you want to get something in the next couple weeks to 30 days, I do have some time slots that should be showing there. And we do offer complimentary retirement strategy call consultations, but the spaces are limited. So you can go to keepitsimplefinancial.com /talk to schedule your complimentary call. And like I said, the spaces are limited. I'm going to stay on the screen for a moment and see what questions that you have. And do you have any questions at all about what we talked about today? And I'm going to go through the comments because I might have missed some questions here. So if you have questions, get them in the chat now, and I will try to address them before we wrap up today. And if not, then we'll be all done here in the next couple minutes. And if you don't have questions, you're welcome just to sign off at this point or schedule your call. Okay, so let's go back here because Peggy has kind of a long question. So I'm going to go back here. And we're going to add Peggy's question. Okay, so Peggy says, so the year I reach my full retirement age, I can work full-time and not lose any of my Social Security if I don't make over $4,000 per month. For example, full retirement age is 7/20/21, and I start collecting 1/20/21, I cannot make more than $28,000. That's just about right, Peggy. That's just about right. What did I say? It's 44,000. The limit here is, 48,600. So that's just about right. So a tiny bit more than 4,000. But yes, that is the case. That is the case. So if you're in the year you're turning full retirement age and you're making, $4,000 a month or less or so, then you should be in good shape to not have to worry about any reduction. Even if you earn a little bit more, it's not going to be a huge disadvantage to claim early necessarily. You could add that extra money, but you have to remember that you're going to get taxed, Peggy, on this income, okay? So depending if you're single or married, then you can pay, depending on your income, you're going to pay either 50% of your Social Security benefit will be taxed, or up to 85% of your Social Security benefit will be taxed. But never is it 100% taxed like it would be from a IRA or 401k distribution. So for Social Security has a better taxation situation than normal distributions from your IRA. So only 85% at the most. But yes, so that would be added for the year to your taxable income. So keep in mind that you might want to keep some money aside from that benefit, or choose to maybe withhold 10 or 20% or maybe more, depending on your income, of your Social Security benefit, so that at the end of the year, you're not surprised by a big tax bill. Okay, that'd be one thing I would consider there. But good question, really good question, actually. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so Kim has another good question. Okay, can you discuss two equal earning spouses and the advantage of or disadvantage to one claiming earlier, other claiming later? Okay, so good question. Okay, so if we have two spouses, okay, let's say they're earning the exact same, they have the exact same benefits. So let's say at full retirement age, you each are going to earn $2,500. Okay. Well, in this case, you might want to consider when you take each benefit, and you might not want to take them both at the same time. This is what I was talking about, where if you're married and, later down the road, I mean, this is always, I don't hate to be so blunt about this, but at some point, one of you is going to pass on. Generally, you don't pass on at exactly the same time. So if one person is left behind, they're only going to receive whatever the highest benefit was. So if you took your benefits, both of you at the exact same time, then you would have a 50% cut in your Social Security income once that the first person passed. So that could be a pretty shocking amount of income to lose in such a short period of time. But let's say one of you took your benefit early at 62 and you started claiming one early. So if your full retirement age was 67 and your benefit was $2,500, if you claimed it early at 62, it'd be about 30% less. So I'm doing quick math in my head, so don't hold me to the number, but it's going to be in the neighborhood of $1,600 or so, $1,600 and change. So if you start receiving $1,600 and change from the first person at 62, but then you delay a second person's benefit. So if we delay the second person's benefit from, instead of taking at 62 or even 67, that $2,500 goes all the way until 70. So if you're 67 and it goes to 70, that's 24% extra. So we can take the 2,500, multiply by 1.24, and that's going to give us, let's see here, 2,500. That's going to give us a benefit of $3,100 per month. So if you took your benefit at 62, one of the benefits, and you had about $1,600 to change, that's going to grow each year, right? So you're going to get an increase on that because you're going to get the cost of living, but you're not going to get the big 5 or 6% increase or 8% increase. But by the time you get to 70, that might be more in the neighborhood of $2,000 or $2,200. And then you have the second benefit that starts more around $3,100, but it's actually going to be higher because you get your 8%, plus there's an additional cost of living adjustment. So it might be more like $3,200 or $3,300. Well, if someone were to pass on down the road, you will have that larger benefit that stays with whoever is the remaining member of the household after the first person passes, and just lose a smaller one. So instead of $2,500 creeping up at about recently the increase on Social Security has been about 1.4%. It's been very, very low. It's almost nothing. So instead of having that $2,500 that you have to live off of, it's going to be over $3,000. So if it's over $3,000 a month, and let's say it's $3,200 or $3,300, that's an additional $700-800 a month times 12. So that'd be about $9,600 if you're looking at $800 a month. That's almost $10,000 a year that remaining person is going to have, plus the inflation that continues to increase on top of that number. So again, I know that's kind of a lot there, but that's how I would think about it. And those are some of the things that you're looking at between taking early or giving up. All right. This is another good question here from Sean. This will be our last one for today, then we'll wrap up. So Sean asks, my wife retired at 52 with a small pension. I think you meant to say how badly. So how badly will that affect her Social Security? She started working at age 18. Okay. So the way your Social Security benefit is calculated is they use the top 35 earning years that you have. Okay. So if your wife retired at 52 and she started working at 18, she has 34 years of work. So it actually might not affect her that much. But here's how it will. Since she only has 34 years, she doesn't have the full 35. So then we have 1 0 year. Okay, so that 0 year is definitely going to reduce her the amount she's expecting. The other thing is when you receive your statement each year, the amount that it says you're going to get at Social Security age at full retirement age is based on you working at your current income with an average increase of about 3% or so all the way through until you achieve full retirement age. So if you leave work at 52 and you're making $100,000, but from 18 to 25 you made like $15,000 or $20,000, well, then you can definitely see an additional reduction from what you're expecting in the future. There are calculators that you can use to figure this out, but Sean, there's going to be definitely a reduction on what you're seeing on your statements. So please keep that in mind as you're making your full retirement decision. And honestly, if your wife picked up a part-time job between now and 67, or now and 60, or really any time between, and she earned more than any of her lowest earning years, which now it's 0, so that's going to fill that gap. And then if she has another year where she earns more than her lowest earning year, let's say at 18, well, now you're going to replace a low earning year out of that 35 years. So the more years that you do that, the more that's going to recalculate your benefit and cause that benefit to be increased. So again, hopefully this is helpful for you. A lot to think about here, and I'm a big fan of actually putting the numbers together and actually looking at things in a way so that you can see exactly what your benefit's going to be. Okay, so if you'd like to schedule an appointment with me to discuss this situation or your situation in further detail, keepitsimplefinancial.com/talk. I will put that in the comments below, so you can click on the link there once I wrap up here today. And other than that, I want to thank you so much. I want to wish you a wonderful Sunday, and thank you for taking your time out of your day to come watch, and we'll see you next time. All right, have a great day now. Bye-bye.